The Netherlands, a beautiful small country in Europe, famous for its cheese, dance, weed, and prostitutes, is also the second largest exporter of agricultural produce in the world. In 2021, it exported a total of $108 billion worth of agricultural goods. With a land mass of just over 41,000 kilometers square, the country is smaller than Nigeria's Kaduna State, which has a landmass of over 46,000 kilometers square, or Ghana's former northern region, which had a landmass of over 70,000 kilometers square. In contrast, Nigeria exported a total of $1.2 billion worth of agricultural goods in 2021, whilst Ghana's agricultural produce was valued at $3.6 billion. So the question is, how is a small country like the Netherlands able to export so much agricultural produce, while countries with huge land masses like Ghana and Nigeria barely export anything? Well, the answer will surprise you. Farmers in the Netherlands mostly produce horticultural products, dairy, eggs, meats, and vegetables. They produced over 4 million cows, 13 million pigs, and 104 million chickens annually. In Africa, we don't even know how many cows we produce every year. Yet, hundreds of people are killed every year in disputes between herders and farmers in Nigeria. One of the reasons the Netherlands has such an effective agricultural sector is their use of advanced technology. Nearly 24,000 hectares of land is used to grow vegetables in greenhouses, one of the largest in the world. What can be grown in 1,000 acres of open-air farming can be grown in less than 1 acre of a greenhouse. And because they have such a small landmass, farmers in the Netherlands try to grow more produce with less land. And to help them innovate, the Dutch government built the Wageningen University and Research, which is a leading agricultural university. The university recruits researchers from all over the world, and they spend millions of dollars researching how to improve Dutch farmers' productivity. These researchers are sometimes embedded into the farms to ensure that their research is not merely academic, but is actually practical and can be used by the farmers to increase yield and productivity. For example, Dutch farmers use only half a gallon of water to grow a pound of tomatoes, while the global average is 28 gallons. And this is largely due to the research done by researchers in the university. This level of productivity makes Dutch farmers one of the most productive in the world. Africa has 60% of the world's most fertile land. Yet, as a continent combined, we export between 35 billion to 40 billion worth of agricultural produce, while the Netherlands alone exports over $100 billion every year. McKinsey & Company released a report in 2009 titled Winning in Africa's Agricultural Markets. And in the report, they outlined how Africa can grow its agricultural sector to export twice as much grain as we currently produce. To put this in perspective, Ukraine, which is currently locked in a war with Russia and huge parts of the country has been deserted, this year has exported over 6.2 million tons of grain, including 3 million tons of wheat, 2.5 million tons of corn, and 599,000 tons of barley. And guess where 65% of these grains were exported? Developing countries like Ghana, South Africa, and Nigeria. So a country that has been invaded by Russia is able to produce more grain than African countries in relative stability. Make it make sense. The worst part of all this is the fact that Africa is home to the poorest people in the world. Nigeria is currently the poverty capital of the world. And instead of the leaders to think about how to grow food to feed its people, they are currently focused on fighting a war with Niger. How? And Ghana's president, who still has over a year left in office, is telling the citizens to wait for the next president to come and fix the challenges of the country.
President, Ghanaians say they are not happy with the way conditions are. They are tired.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I'm the first to admit it. I've said it several times. I'm the first to admit it. But at the end of the day, I believe that when the moment comes, Ghanaians will reflect on who best can get us out of these difficulties and take us to the next stage.
What kind of leaders do we have as a continent? Well, the truth is, until we learn to feed ourselves as a continent, we will always be at the mercies of those who feed us.